cold calling. What would be a typical cold approach for you? Let's say you're picking up the phone and calling someone. What would that cold call sound like?
Well, I will tell you, but let me tell you where this came from real quickly.
Sure.
The best cold call I ever got was this. And this is years and years and years ago, but it stunned me. It was so effective. This is before. This is when long distance calling was actually expensive. Somebody would call you long distance, and you go, "Oh my God, somebody's calling me long distance. I got to get this phone call." Some guy calls up at my business, okay, at my office that I had at the time. Calls up and he says, "Hello." He says, "I sell long distance for 4 cents a minute. Do you want to know more?"
I like
That's
it.
what he said.
Yeah.
And it smacked. It was like somebody smacked me in the face. And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay," and then he continued going. And after I got off, and I bought. So after I got off the phone, because I'm a student of selling, I got off the phone and I'm thinking, how many times have I just hung up on people cold calling and just said no, 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 no? Well,
Right.
why did I say yes to him? It's because he didn't. There was no bullshit. It was just, "Hi, how are you? How you doing? How's the weather up there?" Telling a joke. Prospects if they own businesses, they're busy.
Yep.
I got others. I was thinking of something else before you called. I got things to do. I want to get back to that. So what do you got? What do you do? What do you got? And so he said, "I sell long distance for 4 cents a minute." That told me everything I needed to know about that guy's offer. And I said, "Yeah, I would like to know more about that." Well, and then it dawned on me, wait a minute, this guy is just randomly calling quickly. It's speed. It's all speed. He's going from one number to another, to another, to another, to another, until he gets, "Yes, I want to know more." Good. He doesn't care about all the ones that he says that say no. He just only cares about the ones that say yeah. And I'm thinking, how many sales did he make that day? I wish I could have called the guy back and said, "I want to talk to you. How many sales did you make? What percentages and everything like that?" Certainly it's better than 1%, because that's a good question. So my approach when I would either call on the phone or just walk in this is what I would do. I would say, I provide leads and sales to business owners that already have a website. Would you like to know more? Now, let me break that down just a little bit, because there's a couple keys in here that you can use for any approach. It's really important. I provide qualified leads and sales to business owners. So now he knows what I do, that already have a website. Would you like to know more? Now, do you know why I say that already have a website?
My idea was it's a built-in qualifier that makes
the built-in qualifier, yeah. But it's even more important than that is I would get this. Once they realized what I was doing, here's what they would always say. We already have a website.
Right.
So I want to make that a reason for us to talk further.
Interesting.
Like when I used to be selling vacuum cleaners, people would say, "What do you do for a living?" I say, "I sell vacuum cleaners, but only to people that already have a vacuum cleaner." And the reason I would say that is, when I said I sell vacuum cleaners, if I just stopped, they would always say, "Oh, we have a vacuum cleaner." Like that's unusual that that they have, like they're special because they own everybody owns a vacuum cleaner. And everybody that has a business has a website. What I don't want to do is I don't want to be going to a place where they don't even have a website. I mean, and not having a website nowadays is like not having a phone.
Right.
I mean, if you don't have a website, they're easy, they're cheap. Any college kid, any high school kid can build you a website. I mean, it won't be nice and it won't be effective and it won't say the right things, but putting one up isn't a hard thing to do. So I say that they already have to have a website. And a lot of times they'll say, "Well, why do I need to have a website?" Well, I want to talk to people that are already doing some kind of marketing. May I ask what you're doing right now? "Yeah, well, and they kind of tell me, "Well, what kind of results are you getting from that?" And the reason I'm asking you, it sounds like a conversation, but the reason I'm asking these questions is I want to know first if I want to continue the conversation. I want to know that they're doing something. But the other thing is I want to know who's doing for them what they're doing. For example, if their brother-in-law built the website, I'm not going to say, "Well, I've seen your website. It's terrible," because now I'm insulting their brother-in-law or their kid. I just called them a fool for paying their child to build them a website. I'm not going to do that. So I'll say, what did you get, and what results are you getting, and then very quickly I'll ask her if they say, well, like, describe what this is, and I'll say, what I do is I get you listed when people do searches on Google and they're looking for what you sell. I make it sure that they find you far more often and they find your competition far less often. Does that sound like something that you want?
And I want to throw in something real quick here.
Yeah, please.
The beauty of what you just said there, I want everyone to take note of that, because you did not say that you sell Google ads or that you offer search engine optimization or SEO. You gave benefit-laden information without giving the context of how you actually do it. So it's super beautiful the way you just said that. I really appreciate that.
Because the reason I say it like that, the reason I don't say I provide this exact kind of service, the reason I don't do that is because it gives them something to say no to. Mm-hmm. See, right up at the beginning, I don't want them to have something to say no to. So, for example, the other thing is they'll say, well, describe what you do. I'll say, okay, have you ever had somebody call your business and tell you that they found you online and then they bought from you? Well, see, almost everybody that owns a business, if they have anything online at all, that's happened. Mm-hmm. So I found you even in a directory. I was found in a directory or something like that. They'll go, yeah, that's happened before. I said, would you like more of those customers? Well, yeah. Oh, okay. And when I say, would you like more of them, I kind of say it like I'm joking, like it's kind of an obvious answer. I go, it's kind of the personality I have, and not everybody is like this, but I'll say, have you ever had somebody call you, tell you that they found you online and then they bought from you? And they go, yeah. I say, would you like more of them? And they go, yes, I would. Okay, great. Well, what I'd like to do is talk to you about that. Would you be available anytime in the next few weeks to talk to me about that? And they go, yeah. And I say, okay, let me get my calendar right here, and I, go out there and see them. And a nice approach, I'm going to give you another approach. I think this is in one of my books, but if it's not, then I'll just give it to you. I did this as an experiment once because I hadn't cold called for a while, and I thought I didn't need to because I was running a lot of referrals and doing speeches and things like that. I didn't really need to cold call, but I thought, I'm going to try this approach. I think I might have gotten it out of somebody else's book on prospecting. Oh, yeah, I did. Let me think. It was called, the book was called, you know what? I can't remember. Cold calling techniques that really work, I think. Calling techniques that really work, I think, is the name of the book I got. It was anyway, so I got that book. Okay. And I read this. The one thing I got out of that book was this thing. And I thought, oh, that's so brilliant. So I'd call guys up, and I'd get the owner on the phone, and I would know the name of the owner. That's another thing. You really, if you can't get a mailing list and you have to pay extra for the name of the owner or the name of the manager or something, pay the extra because it's really worth. You get a lot better result. Yep. So I'd call up and I'd go, hi, my name's Claude Whitaker. I sell leads and sales, or I provide leads and sales to business owners that already have a website. I'm not really calling right now to make an appointment. I just wanted to stop by tomorrow sometime for about a minute, shake your hand, introduce myself, and if we find that there's a reason for us to talk further, we can make an appointment in the future. Does that sound fair enough? Will you be there tomorrow around 3 o'clock? Now, here's why I said I'm not calling today to make an appointment. Okay? Because they want to say no to making an appointment. So when I say that I'm not calling today to make an appointment, even though I am making an appointment, that is going to sound weird. Even though I did say, are you going to be there tomorrow at 3 o'clock? Yes. Okay, great. I'll just pop in, pop out. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks. Bye. Is when I say I'm not calling to make an appointment, now they can't say no to the making the appointment because I said I'm not calling to make an appointment. So that it takes away an objection. They can't really make that objection now. Yep. And it's really hard to just say no to somebody that says, I just want to stop in, say hi, shake your hand, and if we find that there's a reason to make an appointment for later, then we'll do that. And then they'll say, well, can you just mail me information? I go, nope, I want to meet you. Will you be there tomorrow at 3 o'clock? And I just like that. Got it. And maybe one of the keys is this. See, I'm a business owner, and they're a business owner, we're the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
See, we're exactly the same thing. So when I talk to people, I talk to them as though, maybe not like I've known them all my life, but I talk to them as though we're the same kind of person. We're just business people. And by the way, the first half of selling is buying. Okay? So if you own a business, half of what you're doing is buying. So buying is the most natural. If you're talking to a business owner, buying is half of what they do. All right? So it's the most natural thing in the world for you to call them, because they're used to buying. See, they might be used to buying their product, they're used to buying services, so it's just a natural thing. It's not like they've never had a call before,
Right.
So anyway, there's that approach worked. So I did that. I think, if I remember, this has been a few years ago that I only did it twice, 2 days in a row, and I think I worked 4 or 5 hours total doing it, and I had, let me think, I think I made 70 calls. I think I had 17 appointments, of which, I call them appointments. By the way, they were all real close to each other, and I was going to visit the people. It was in a town that's close to our town. It's not in my town, but close to our town. And I think I actually met 7 people, and I did 3 presentations, I think, and I either made 2 or 3 presentations, but I sold both of them or all 3 of them. I know that. The sales were easy once I'm in there, because once I'm there, I'm not really going to make an appointment for later.
Right.
Once I'm there, and they start talking to me, we both find out if we want to talk to each other. Well, if we want to talk to each other, unless he's late for an appointment right then, or he's got, somebody coming in right then, unless that's happening, which is usually not the case, then we just sit down and I just start explaining what I'm doing, and and then they start asking questions, and I know the answers to those questions, and then they buy.
Okay, so let's say you did go to that appointment. What are first of all, what is a qualifying question? And then can you give me an example of what some of them might be that you'd use in that context?
Well, okay. The qualifying, the first, there's 2 kinds of qualifying questions. The first one is discovery questions, where I have to make, they have to, there are conditional questions. They have to have certain things for me to proceed. So, for example, if I find out that there are 3 partners and they're one of 3 partners and the other 2 partners aren't there, or the other 2 partners aren't going to be there for a while, or it's a husband and wife that own the business, but the wife's not home, or the wife's not there, or the husband's not there. Well, I'm not going to go ahead and do my presentation. Okay, I want whoever makes the decisions, I want them to be there. I also want to find out kind of what their business is, like how big is their business. Now, on the phone, you have to ask those questions. When you're visiting the business, when I'm actually walking through the door, you kind of know some of these things a little bit. So, like, how many employees do you have? How long have you been here? I just want to get a good feel, like, is this somebody that does that's going to be here, and are they going to pay me? Are they going out of business? How's business? Then the most important question is, what are you doing now? Like, what are you doing for marketing? Okay, and then what results did you get? Well, I want to know what they're doing, so I know that they're players. I want to make sure that they're already in the game. See, so when I start saying pay per click, they don't sit there and stare at me like I don't know what they're talking. Like they don't know what I'm talking about. I want them to kind of be the kinds of people that are doing marketing already. It doesn't have to be my marketing. It doesn't have to be what I'm doing, but they're doing some kind of marketing or advertising. And then I'll ask them what the results they're getting. And the reason I want to know the results are that will tell me everything about them. So I want to know what results they're getting. And they're going to do one of 2 things, and this is really, really key, because all customers and all people like to do one of 2 things. They like to complain or they like to brag. Okay? And I need to know which one they are. So they complain about the results that they're getting, or they brag about the results they're getting. Now, if they complain about a company, that's fine. Okay? If they say something like, advertising doesn't work in my business, that's bad. Okay? Because now I got to convince them. I have to sell them an entire story of an entire industry. I mean, I've got to build a whole mythology, a whole reality I don't want to do that. I don't want to take the time to do that. I want them to either brag about what they're doing and how well it's working out, okay, because now I can add to that. I'm not going to interfere with anything that they do. And by the way, that's what they wanted. They wanted, well, I already have a guy that's doing this. What I do doesn't interfere with that at all. It's not going to affect that other than make it stronger. It's just going to make what you're doing now more effective. It's like another piece of the puzzle. It just helps. It just reinforces what you're doing right now. Oh, okay. Because you don't want that to become an objection about, well, I already got this guy and he does this. Okay, well, great. That's one of the many facets of what we do. And it's good that you are with somebody that specializes in what he does, which is not what I do. See? You just have to not let that become an objection. But anyway, I want to know what they do, and I want to know the experience that they have, so I want them to brag about it. And then the key thing is always compliment their previous buying decisions. Always compliment. That's one of the things that people, if you have a rep or if you have a guy that's selling advertising or marketing services or really anything, and they did everything right and they walk out of there and they didn't get a sale, there's reasons for that, but a real good chance is this: you insulted some previous buying decision that they did before. You made them feel bad about something they did before. You knocked a competitor, which, by the way, if you knock a competitor, you're knocking your entire industry. Oh, those guys are crooks. You mean the people that are in exactly the business that you're in? Yeah. People are doing exactly what you're doing, they're crooks? Yeah. Okay, that means, what does that mean? That means you're a crook too, right?